Welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to be coloring in the beautiful horror movies coloring book by Maurizio Campidelli. And we are going to be doing the page from the movie Carrie by Stephen King. I do have a color palette here. I will Xerox this and add it as an attachment to the Patreon information page where you're finding this video. So these are the colors we'll be using here and all the way to here. So this one is the longest of all. There's 3 pages and there's a lot of little things on the page. And I like to do a lot of color blending. My recommendation is to get a basket and pull all the colors you're going to need from the copies of the swatch from your Prismacolor 150 set. Put them in the basket so you're roaring and ready to go. You don't have to go back and forth and in and out of your case every time we switch colors. And I will also recommend, so if you're, let's say you're following along for a while and you stop for an hour or a day, keep a little notepad and pen nearby where you color to jot down the timestamp of where you're stopping in the video, whether you're in part 1, 2, or 3, so you can go back to that exact spot and find it later on. Okay, well, let's get started. And we will be primarily using the Prismacolors in this video. We might have some extra little accents and things to add at the end. This is the picture we're doing here with Carrie at the prom. Yeah, this is a gorgeous book. Very well done. And I think we're going to start with all the different hair, just to kind of get all those hairs done out of the way. So the first hair I have, we'll do Carrie's last. The hair from the girl in the middle, which is this one right here, we're going to do that first. So I have cream, terracotta, burnt ochre, black, and I'm changing burnt umber for sepia because my burnt umber is lost. So I'm going to make note of that. We're changing that to sepia. So what I want you to do is we want to start with the black. And I'll try to keep the color card we're using on here if I have it nearby. So, and I've sharpened all my pencils ahead of time, which is something I also recommend you do. And this one is fairly easy. It has some line art in it. So with the black, we're just going to kind of put in some color at the top of her head where the lines already are. We'll kind of do like an ombre effect on her. And I tried to choose colors a little different for each character so they all have their own unique, style and hair colors. And I'm just going to kind of weave in some everywhere I go in this black. Here and there, a little here, a little here. And I'm just gonna kind of stripe some of that in. There's a train going by. Amtrak. Just kind of putting that in here, following the patterns of the hair. Mostly though at the top. Some light shading. Really all we need to do, just a little small amount. Okay, so then let's go to the sepia. We'll go to the sepia and we're going to blend some of this sepia in over the black at the top here. I didn't mention, but where you're going to want your Prismacolor blender stick, and I do use these in most of my colored pencil videos. You'll see it here when we get ready to use it shortly, and I'm just going to kind of color this in some random areas so it's kind of natural. Like she's messed with her hair color one too many times, and you can see all the original and the new tones showing. but definitely keep it a little bit darker here at the roots. Okay, pretty easy, and we will sometimes have to do 2 rounds. Then let's do the terracotta. And again, I'm going to blend in where that brown and black kind of stopped, and even a little bit over. So it looks like she has darker roots under some kind of auburny brownish hair. I don't remember why I picked the cream when I was planning all my colors in advance, but maybe it'll come to me. So I'm going to try to just get all the areas. Going darker up here, again at the root. I'm just going to kind of use my pencil and tap and pull and tap and pull. I'm just pulling it down through the hair. Just kind of so it's even throughout. All right. Next, let's do the burnt ochre. And we're going to kind of start getting in around the edge here and the narrow strands at the end. The cream, I think, is going to go over into whatever white-ish pale areas are left. So I'm just kind of blending this anywhere I can. And so now you're starting to see all these different tones come through her hair, which is what we're going for. Let's go back to the black and just put in a little bit more at the roots up here. Pulling it down a little. A little bit here, here, some other spaces, just to give some shadows to her hair. Alexa, stop. All right. Okay, and then also let's again do the sepia. And with that one, I'm going to try to get in a little more tooth at the top of her head here. No, we don't have to blend everything because we're going to use our blender for that. Alexa, cancel. Alexa's trying to tell me something. I'm going to leave some room for the cream. There's no exact right or way wrong to do this, but the trick is to build up the layers. Okay, and then we're going to touch in a little more terracotta. So we're doing 2 rounds basically. Try to get some of these strands over here, some at the bottom, and we're going to put in a little bit of that cream, and then we're going to blend. Okay, we'll touch a quick bit again of the burnt ochre. Building some nice color here. Now I want to get the cream. my cream is, you're going to need also a brush for the crumbs, like I have right there. Where is, almost positive I have it. There it is, card for the cream. So the cream, we're going to just kind of get into where we see some of the white areas. Just get a little bit of that in there. You're not going to see it a lot. You'll see it a little bit, but we're going to blend it in. It's almost giving a twinge, a tickling twinge of yellow in there, just a tease. And it's actually softening the colors, functioning a little bit like it's blending it for us. But our goal is to just to get some of this yellow in here. I'm not putting in any particular sensical pattern. All right, now we're gonna need our Prismacolor blender. Make sure there's no other colors on the end. You pick it off with your nail. Make sure it's somewhat sharp. It's okay to be a little bit flat at the very end because we're using that to burnish. And then we're gonna just start working this color. Gonna try now to blend all this color together. Let's go up here at the roots. Now this Prismacolor colorless blender, you can buy it in packs of 2 or 4. I also sometimes use the Color blender. I do tend to just use this Prismacolor blender with the Prisma, and then I use the Color ones for almost every other brand. This paper is a little drier. You are gonna have to work it hard, and it will, sorry, I'm just gonna always shake my camera when I do that. It shakes the whole desk. But you're gonna need to use a little pressure, hold your paper down, and really just kind of get in there and burnish those colors together. Some people call it blending, some call it burnishing. There's some differences. Definitely gonna be using your arm. See, look at how gorgeous that hair is though when it comes together. All right, the colors are beautiful. Very natural, especially for girls in high school who dyed their hair multiple times, probably. I know I did and still do. You're going to need to use your makeup brush for crumbs because of the fact that we're working pretty hard. A little trickier at the bottom here. Trying to go the same direction up and down, but it's harder when you get to the end without, you kind of have to go sideways so you don't pick up the end of the paper. Like I just did. A little tricky. She has a nice hair color. It's a brown with some auburn strawberry highlights, I think. And I am going to be showing you some of my favorite hair color combinations since we're doing several heads of hair. So you can make note of these to use on any other characters in any other books or in the future. Just trying to get these little ends right here. All right, if you see any more white tooth, run that blender over it till it's entirely smooth. All right, woo, we did it. Okay, take your crumb brush and brush over her. You can go back in with something like the black if you want to touch up a little more roots up here, or black, a little black highlight, low light, whatever you want to do. Missed anything around the edges? Just touch it up. Okay, well, so we are ready now for, put a little bit of that red in here. Still taking the color, believe it or not. Okay. Excuse me. So next let's do the hair of the man on the right of her, which is this head right here. We're going to be using cream, dark umber, light umber, and espresso. So I have dark umber, light umber. Yep, I have all my colors here. And of course the darkest is espresso. So we're going to start with espresso. And so what we'll do is we're just going to do the same kind of thing with this espresso. Starting on the side of his face where his kind of sideburns are, I have a very sharp pencil. I'm going to kind of go upward with this espresso and get that hair on his sideburn. Then I'm going to get these little wispies on the back of his neck while I have the sharpest point of my pencil still unused. Now we're going to go up around his root. Let's go to the top of his head. Kind of follow the line of it a little, and then just kind of start. I want you to go this way, so from the root downward, left to right. A little tricky if you're left-handed. Tricky for me, and I'm right-handed. Okay, let's get this over here. Well, he's got some nice feathers in his hair, feathery hair. So I'm going to just do these little wisps. Doing the little wisps. I missed a spot on her hair, darn it. Yeah, so we're just kind of working this in. Some wispies. Darker at the very top, of course. Okay. So next, let's do the dark umber. The dark umber. Which is basically a really dark brown. I'm going to go down to the bottom of his hair again with my sharp point and kind of color upward from his neck. I'm going to do a little more of these sideburns here. Down behind his ear. Then let's do along nice dark hair in there. Next, let's do the light umber. I'm going to just do a little bit back here around his neck. Kind of where the other one left off, and go upward a little. And again, let's do these roots. Work the color in here. I'm striping it now. Doing long kind of lines as I pat it. It helps keep the wispy look. Not matting it down too much. His hair, I'm going to use more of the cream, not quite as much dark as this other gal we did. I just want to do a little bit darker at the root though. Top of his head. Okay. Now let's get the cream. I'm going to really use the cream to blend into most of his hair. You can see how I'm doing that. Kind of like softening it, changing the color. It's almost functioning as a white pencil would. Don't have to get all the tooth, just some, because we'll again use the blender, but just wanted you to get some of this. Okay, and before we use the blender to burnish in, I'm going to take the espresso and just do a little bit more here around his roots. A few more. A few more lines, a few more wispies in the back. Okay, and then let's do the color blender. I'm sorry, the Prismacolor blender we're using. Give it a sharpen. Make sure there's not too much dark on it from the other girl's hair. Pick it off. And let's start blending. Since we did use that cream, the cream actually did some of that blending work for us. You might notice it's not sort of meshing together quite as well as the other gal because we already used the cream as our first round of blending to soften everything up. Didn't get everything, but it did a pretty good starter job. Good. And you can see now they're side by side. He has more blonde in his hair with light brown, even a tint of what almost could be gray, and hers is definitely auburn, like an autumn or fall auburn shades with black roots. You don't want to put characters with similar hair too close together, or they'll all just kind of run together when you scan the page visually. Sideburns around the ear. Okay, take your brush. I feel like I missed a spot or two on her. All right, these two look great. Okay, I have another one. Let's go to the next page. the hair, the girl on the far right. So I have for her cool gray 70, cool gray 30, indigo blue, blue violet lake, and black. So that'll be interesting. Here's the black, which of course we'll start with. And after the black, we'll go right into the indigo. She's gonna have more punk rock kind of hair going on. So make sure you can still see. I'm going to kind of do the same scenario. Take my really sharp pencil, go up at her roots with the black. Since we have this nice illustration line art, it's easy to follow with a sharp pencil the lines of the hair when we're putting in layers. Just adding a little bit all the way down. Very light on the black, not much. Just keep it kind of light. Okay. So then we should do the indigo blue. Indigo blue. This is also going to go into her roots. It's definitely a cooler shade of hair versus the others were warm shades. And just follow the line of the hair a little bit down, bring some of this down. Just kind of striping it in. More at the roots here. Okay. That's really all we needed with the indigo. Then let's do the 70% cool gray. 70% cool gray. And I'm going to start blending into some of this blue and black, mostly around the crown. Leaving lots of white tooth though, because we still have 2 more colors to get in there. So again, this is just layers we're building. Let's get some down here. Okay, then we're going to do the blue violet lake. Where are you? Blue violet lake. And we're gonna keep weaving this in the hair. Just get it in wherever you can. We're gonna have a cool gray we're gonna add at the end. Ironically, this blue violet lake is more of an undertone. Okay, let's go back to the black. I want to put some more in her roots. And coming a little bit down. And maybe where you see some shading, I'll put in some black. Okay. Then again, put in just a little bit of that indigo again. Indigo. We're just building layers, and I'm just kind of squiggling in it in different areas. Concentrating those darker areas at the top, of course. Okay, and 70% cool gray. Only a little, and then we're going to grab our light gray. Then we're going to blend. Okay, now let's do the light gray, the 30, is that 30? Yeah, 30% cool gray. And I'm going to use this color to just kind of start blending in the hair. Almost is turning it a little bit like of a green shade, grayish green, which is kind of what we're hoping for, like an alternative hair color. And remember, the lighter colors like this work as blenders on the hair, so kind of like if you were to blend in white. Okay, so now to our Prismacolor blending stick. Hey, gonna pick off a little, and here we go. Blending at the roots first. Using a really hard pressure. It's blending all these blacks and blues and grays nicely together. It's a really nice effect. She's got kind of an alternative hair color. And of course you can touch in more black if you feel like it's too blue or whatever you want to do. But high school kids did some crazy things back in the 70s and 80s. It's a little tricky when you get to these edges. Hold your paper down. hold it on the corner. Whew, in my workout. And one of the reasons we're doing one character with bluish tint hair is because the curtains and stars are going to be blue and silver. That is from the traditional movie, what the backdrop looked like, because I actually went and watched the clip to see. And a little bit of blue elsewhere in the picture, such as in a hair, right? It helps us tie our color theme together as cohesive. I try to use similar colors in different areas. So for example, we'll have some pink in her dress, and we'll have some pink in the flowers, maybe some pink over here and her hair flowers, etc., etc. I don't know about you, but I don't really even remember this movie. I've seen it. I was born in 1974, so who knows? Okay. I think it must have come out after that. All right, we're done. Just double check everything's blended to your liking. And if you so desire, you can put a little bit more black back here, the top of the head, or woven through. Okay. Perfect. Now I do see two little spots I have to touch up on his hair. Missed a little espresso in there. Whew. Okay, 2 heads of hair left for the bottom row. Who do we have left? Okay, I have the girl with the messy bun, Jasmine, Eggshell, Goldenrod, Chocolate, so she's gonna be more blonde. Let's do her, Jasmine, Eggshell, Goldenrod, and Chocolate. All right, let's get all those together next. Okay, so we're gonna move on with the hair and do the hair with the bun. This girl here with the flowers in her hair. And for her, I have Jasmine, Eggshell, Goldenrod, and Chocolate. Chocolate being the darkest color, so you always start with the darkest color. Make sure your pencils are all nice and sharp before you start. So, clearly she has flowers in her hair. I thought maybe there was a band holding it in, but this looks like hair right here, so I don't think so. And whenever you do a blonde, you always want the roots to be darker, particularly around, obviously, the base of the head where it's closest to where it's growing out of the scalp, around the forehead and around. In the bun, though, we can put in a little bit, and then we'll kind of weave the rest in after that. So let's just start by getting in some of this brown down by her neck, where the hair's coming out of her neck. So like she's, you know, brunette, she's probably dyed her hair blonde. It is possible to do natural blonde, but the hair is going to have to look almost white or Scandinavian, and that's a whole other set of colored pencils. We'll have a little bit of that in Carrie. Carrie's hair from the actress who played her in the movie was kind of a dishwater dirty tannish blonde, almost a light brown. So we'll see what we can do. So I'm just kind of, as you can see, darkening it most around the skin, but I'm just following the front of the hair. Back here as well on the bottom of the bun, closest to the neck. And then maybe the top of this bun curl right here. I'm going to put one dark stripe wherever you see a dark cluster of ink, or pigment, should I say. Okay, so just like a stripe, stripe, stripe. Up here in the bun, we'll keep it darker in the center because it'll look more like there's a shadow or the hair kind of dips in. And so we're going to make it a little darker all in this little center area here. Right here. Okay, and just a little bit, top and bottom of where each bun piece is. A little bit up here. Not too much. Okay, so let's move to the goldenrod. This is the darker yellowish orange kind of color. And this we're going to blend into the roots where that brown is. We're going to just kind of blend over it. Go down here at the base of her neck and go upward a little, and then at the top of this hairpiece go over the stripes. Leave plenty of room for the lighter yellows, so we're going to go at the top of this little hairpiece here, the bottom, kind of like the top and bottom of each little section of bun. The top, or at the top, and the bottom. Okay, now let's go into the jasmine. Jasmine is more yellow. The eggshell is going to be more pale. So right now around her head we have lots of white areas. We're going to just put a little bit of jasmine in there, but that cream or that eggshell is really going to make her hair look a little more blonde. So I'm going to put some of this in around the edges, around the top, blend it into that goldenrod. There's a mosquito on me. Hate that. All right. Go away. Okay, probably just bit me. Mosquito attack. I don't know how it got in here. I was bringing stuff from out of the car a while ago. You see there's still plenty of white space here. Okay, so real quick, take the chocolate, go in a little bit dark right around these roots. Final time before we put in our light blonde. Okay, and then again at the neck, just to darken things a little bit. We have these little wisps hanging down the side of her face, I just realized, so let's put a little bit of that dark at the top of those, where they start. And then we'll do blonde going further down. So we'll go back to that, but let's do the eggshell. Actually, real quick, I'm going to grab my goldenrod. I'm going to do a little more of these strands right here. The ones that are hanging down that I missed. My hand was covering them. Okay, then also the jasmine. Get some of these strands here. Okay. Yeah, so now we're going to do the eggshell. I'm going to start with the back of our bun, and I'm going to really just color this in over everything and kind of blend everything together with this eggshell. This is actually a really good skin tone color as well, but because it's a neutral and it's natural, it works well for hair. Often hair and skin in the same picture. So here we have kind of a blonde with some maybe brunette low lights, or either that or brunette with blonde highlights, however you want to look at it. Great. You got to kind of weave a little bit into these flowers here. We're going to touch that up later, but kind of get in there like around them where you can. Then I'm going to grab my colorless blender, Prismacolor, and I'm going to blend in her hair. Not right at the root where that dark is, because I don't want to accidentally get any on the skin. Just blending everything else basically, maybe a little bit of that brown, not all of it. The top of her bun here. This one doesn't need much blending because that eggshell really worked to blend it all together. It's kind of like when you blend with a white. But this just ensures there's no white tooth of the paper that isn't filled or taking pigment, and it's going to be even, just in case. And it'll give a consistent look to everything else we do on the page, so might as well do it. Okay, now grab that jasmine. Try to do a few of these strands here. You gotta have a real sharp point to get those hair strands. I'm gonna have to sharpen mine a little here. Get some of these hair strands since it's a lighter blonde. If there's concern about these showing, you can always go do the brown. Or use a very fine point pen, like a micron, and a brown would work as well. All right, and I'm going to take the darkest brown and just touch up a little bit in the center of the bun right here to keep that shadow there. A little bit more down here, add a little on her neck. Use your crumb brush if you have any crumbs. Usually you can't add too much once you've blended, but you can add in just a little bit of lines here. All right, excellent. You can take a tad bit of that jasmine as well, just in the center or a couple spots if it looks a little muted from the blender, a little dull. Just tap in a little jasmine. Easy peasy. And in fact, you can take that chocolate, if these strands really aren't showing very well, just put a little in there for the jasmine. All right. Well, we're done with this gal. Her hair looks nice. Okay, so next we have his hair. This is the hair for our man on the left. We're doing cream, putty beige, light umber, and dark umber. So we will start with dark umber being the darkest. Okay, make sure I have my cream here. All right, So what we'll do is we'll take the dark umber first, as always, put in some roots for him. At the top. On his sideburns as well, you want to do his sideburns. Again, you're going to want a nice sharp point for that, so make sure your pencils are sharp. I'm just going to kind of, because it's in the crease here, I'm going to get some down by the neck, of course, but excuse me. I've still been eating my lunch the last hour. It's got a little hot pepper in it. Okay, don't need very much. Let's get the light umber now. The light umber. Go ahead and blend that light umber up at the top into his roots. Along the top, have his hairline. And then some of the darker areas where some of the illustrator's lines are. Kind of like when we do our broom. That's how I do my brooms. I'm going to go here over his sideburns. Yeah, so easy lines, nothing major. Let's do the putty beige. Okay. This is more of a clay color. So this could be a teacher because he's going to look a little more mature. I'm going to get some down here around his nape. This is the high school prom after all. Now, whether we add in next the cream or a gray would determine how we make him look. You know, if we added gray, we'd make him look like an elderly guy. If we add in the cream, it's going to maybe make him look a little younger. Right now, this putty beige is bordering grayish and a neutral. But since I already selected my color palette, I'm going to do the cream. And let's go ahead and just weave some of this in here. Let's blend it in at his neck. Good. Now we're going to go back to the dark umber. Put in some more, oh, wrong color. Put in some more at his sideburns. At the base of his neck. Kind of where you see some of the stripes along the top. We're just kind of light putting it in like with lines. Let's do the light umber again. Gonna get down by his neck. And as we do this, we're slowly filling in more paper tooth. Let's do the putty beige. I think this putty can be almost our last color. Let's see. Just a little bit of that yellow undertone we did from that cream. I think this putty beige is good because she has a little yellow in her hair here, even though it's more yellow. This gives it more of a gray look. Peppered gray. I'm just going to use this pencil to blend everything together. Great, now let's take our colorless blender, of course, and blend out his hair. Sorry about the camera bouncing. Not figured out a way to fix that doesn't involve getting a new table. Looks great. I do want to do a little bit for bun back here. I missed a spot. And this gal here, a little bit more of her bun. Yeah, so that is it. We're done with all the hair on these people. And we're gonna wait and do the skin when we do Carrie's skin. So I have all the skin stuff out together. So a couple of things I want to do next. I want to do the stars and I want to do the picture frame. Now how we're going to do the stars, in the movie classically this curtains are a royal blue, like a cobalt blue and a little bit of a navy blue, 2 different shades of blue, and the stars on our sparkle silver like glitter. So what I decided is to perhaps do the silver pencil Prismacolor 949, and then we're going to see how that looks, and then I'm going to do my silver stickles and dab in every single one. After we've done blue, the curtain blue, I'm going to dab silver glitter stickles over all the stars. So that's kind of my approach, but we can't just put stickles over white. You have to have the same similar color underneath, because stickles doesn't get every single little, you know, nook. It's kind of like something that goes over the top. So we're gonna, if you guys want to try out the silver pencil, I was torn between the silver pencil and a metallic pen. I think the silver pencil will be the best. So let's get started just working on those stars. Make sure there's no crumbs on your page. Nice sharp pencil. And you can do a light layer. And remember, we are going to try to cover these up, so don't worry. The metallics tend to look like they don't blend all the way. Like you see a little bit of white through them because they're made of a little differently, of a different concoction. All right. I'm going to do a couple real quick and then look at it. The other option was to use a silver glitter pen. Yeah, not everyone's going to have those glitter pens though, so I'll stick with these because I know everyone hopefully will have the Prismas if you're doing this tutorial. But we can even try a silver glitter pen over this and the stickles. We'll see. Let's just get this base color in the stars. Don't worry if you go a little bit into the white space. It's going to be a dark blue. You're not going to see it. I love this book. It's a gorgeous book. I assume if you're doing this tutorial, you have the book. I'm not even the biggest horror movie fan. I like some of the original classic type movies. I like more cutesy family style Halloween. I do like Stephen King books. You know, Evil Dead and It and Swamp Thing, whatever. Like I don't think I've ever seen any of those movies. I've seen the Saw movies. I've seen some of the zombie movies. You know, they're all right. The original Shining, of course, is amazing. Gothic type literature and movie I do enjoy. But when it comes to horror, I do love Halloween. I love the kind of magic and mystery behind it, and the kind of the Samhain and the original kind of Celtic, you know, ritual and lore behind it. But I also like Halloween or mild horror, you know, not so much the gory stuff, type literature and books and art. even if I don't watch the movies. So that's why I love this book. And I love anything that's pop culture, you know. All these movies are really part of like American culture, maybe even non-American culture, I'm not sure, but most people can recognize which movies each picture in this book comes from. I needed help on a few of them. I think it's hilarious. You go back now and watch like the Chucky movies in the 80s. That's like the least, or Gremlins, the least scariest thing I could even think of. Like Alien, Romulus, or Prometheus. Like, now that's scary. But I mean, to me, that's sci-fi horror, which I don't mind. I've always liked aliens, but in comparison, Gremlins just looks like, you know, a Barbie play date. Doesn't really seem scary whatsoever. At the time, though, those movies were, you know, they were a spin-off of the Gothic genre in literature and art and architecture, and that's where we get horror from. So they were kind of novel concepts at the time, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, when scary movies started coming out. So I can see why they got popular, because we didn't have a lot else just like it. Alright, I think I've gotten color in most of these stars. You know, I think that Couture makes the best metallics. I have the Couture tin of metallics. They're the most rich, soft, blendable, and brilliant, like, shine looking metallics of any pencils I've ever had. I would have used them on this, except I'm trying to stick with things people have, or, you know, not use like 15 different mediums on one page. It's going to be hard for anyone to replicate. I do think it's essentially you get some stickles. I've used them to accent most of my pages. Everything from fairy wings to butterfly wings to Christmas ornaments to metal, kitchen and pots and pans and baking trays, you know, and home scenes, astrology, planet, stars like we're doing now, just metal objects, anything fantasy or fairy related. I mean, I think the basic you want to start with one of the clear sparkle stickles, the black diamond, the silver, and the gold. If you could only get like the first few to get started, that's where I would go. And work your way up, adding colors as time goes on. There's one called Mermaid Tail, which is kind of a lavender. I use a lot of my fantasy pictures as well. All right, I think I got everything. And it's not overly visible, right? Because we're going to be, once it's a blue background, you'll see these a lot better, and we might have to pull the pencil out again to touch up anything. Good. All right, so let's move on now to this picture frame. We'll do the inside and the outside. We'll do the whole picture frame. Then we're going to move on to Carrie. Okay, I tried to zoom in for you so we can work on the flowers inside this picture frame. We're starting with kelp green and olive green, which I have in my swatch here, kelp green and olive green. The darker of the two is the kelp green, which is what we're going to start with. And of course you're going to want a nice sharp pencil, as always. Alright, so what we're going to do for these leaves, real simple. These leaves are really small. We are going to, for each little leaf, that's why you would want a very sharp point, I'm going to color at the bottom of it, like the first bottom half of it. And we'll just do like a simple gradient. So the bottom half will be the one green, lightening your pressure of that green as you go toward the middle. And this top half will be the other green, and then it kind of will blend all together. But if you don't have a really sharp pencil, this will be difficult to keep it in the lines. So just do them all at once. This is a weird bigger leaf over here, I think. It's funny, I went to look at the movie in this clip. It's on YouTube actually, and I didn't see a picture frame of roses on stage or anywhere, so maybe I missed it, but it must be something the artist added for whatever purpose. It's hard to tell a little bit over here what's what because it's so small. My eyesight isn't great. Just have to hope it all works out in the end. In the bottom of each. A little bit up to these bigger ones. Okay, pretty easy. Let's get the olive green and just kind of blend in. Again, you want it nice and sharp. Get the top part of the leaf. I'm doing a light pressure. I don't want this too dark. Getting whatever's left of the leaves that I can tell. The very center, it's hard to tell what's flower and what's leaf. So I'm just winging it. Once I get the base layer, every leaf covered in these colors, I'm going to pick a couple just to do darker so they kind of pop out a little. Trying not to get this on the canvas. It's a painting. If you really wanted, you could get 1 or 2 fine liner pens or a water brush marker and base in that and then do pencil over it. Or like one of the Micron pens or an Arteza fine liners. Anything like that would be fine. Some people have trouble doing such small things with pencil. I do sometimes, and this is pushing it. All right, I'm going to switch back to the kelp green to add a little details in there. Still see some tooth on the page. I'm going to add some around the bottom, around the sides. I'm gonna kind of blend this in over and with the olive color. Anywhere I think that there's a leaf. Especially if you still see some little white, like, tooth or nicks on each leaf, that means you need a little more pigment on the page. Okay. And I did a couple that are a little darker. I'm going to grab the olive one more time. Put it a little darker at the base of just maybe just do a couple that are a little darker all over. Just the ones that are kind of tucked more in the middle. That way they'll stand out a little more. Okay, I think that's sufficient. I might touch it up with the blender just to make sure they look smooth. I can see a little bit of tooth on a couple leaves here. Just want to get in there and just do a couple leaves. Okay. All right, so we're done with that. Let's work on the flowers. So for the flowers, we have processed red, hot pink, Tuscan red, pomegranate red, and mahogany red. And I realized I didn't put all the numbers in, so I need to put Tuscan red is 937. And I need to put in pomegranate is 195. And I need to put in mahogany, which is 1029. And I also need to swatch that. I added these colors at the last minute. There we go. Okay. Now, so that means we're going to start with the Tuscan red. Second color will be the mahogany, and so on. So let's start with the Tuscan red. So for these flowers, I'm going to do mostly along, so there's some little green leaves on there. We're going to need a bright green, which I don't think I added to this palette, so I'm going to have to grab a green pen or something bright green. I'll see what I can grab. Let's ignore those. Get with your Tuscan Red with a really fine point and get at the very bottom of your roses there. The bottom and up kind of the side. The bottom and up the side. The bottom and up the side. The side. Okay, just put a little bit of that in the top of the rose. Squiggle that in. In case anyone's not sure, we're using the Tuscan Red. Sorry, I didn't put that there. Just realized it. I can't tell what this is. I think those are all leaves right there. Okay, so then let's move on to the mahogany red. And I'm going to color a little bit into that bottom over the Tuscan. Just a teeny bit. A little bit up the sides. I actually, yeah, I could have done these some pink and some red, but I think one color is the most realistic. I don't know. I was torn. I think when I originally picked that many colors, I was going to do that. Just putting a little lines and putting a little bit of that color at the top. Okay, let's go to the pomegranate. We're going to keep working our way upward, color into those last two colors, and then up a little into its own white space. Along the bottom, a little bit of it up here toward the top. Not adding very much. Okay, then let's do the processed red. This is kind of where we get into pinkish shades. And we're going to work our way upward. More at the base of the rose. And starting to really, and then take that really sharp point and go down into those reds you already did. So you're kind of blending these colors together. All right. Doing a little bit at the top. Not much. Okay, and lastly is the hot pink. I just realized I don't have a color card for the hot pink, but we're on the hot pink. I don't know what happened to my color card. I guess I didn't make one. So anyway, let's use this hot pink to blend in over these other colors and at the top. Basically, we're using this to blend in everywhere. These flowers are so small, I can't do a lot of my normal rose effects with the white pencils and whatnot, because you wouldn't even really see it. Well, there's too many of them and they're too close together, so I think this is the best option. I'm kind of light and carefully just trying to get all the white covered. Slowly here. Then what I like to do is go back to the Tuscan red, the original dark color we used. Put a little bit in at the base, a little right in the center of each top. Put that back in a little bit at the base right there. Maybe a little line. Okay, then I would put in, do a little bit of the mahogany. Just gonna work in a little bit of this. Mostly where there's some little points. And the pomegranate. And very light with the pomegranate. Going more up at the sides and up at the top, wherever there's some lines. And lastly is the processed red. Focusing on the top up here. Anything at the way bottom. Okay, and that light or hot pink again, our kind of final blender color. And the reason we built it in layers and 2 rounds is so it doesn't look like it's a flat gradient, like it looks natural, like the color is kind of speckled and fleckled. I just made that up. It is fleckled all over the place in an unnatural pattern, which would be most natural. Speckled, I love that. All right, I'm going to take the blender. Make sure there's no dark green on it. Pick that off from your leaves. And let's just blend in these roses. The base first. Then at the top. Those are some nice looking roses. What I am going to do here is I'm going to grab my green Pit Artist pen. Any shade of green you can find. This one might be a little too green. I've been mentioning in all my tutorials I use these a lot. They don't bleed through, they're felt, and they have a very fine and sturdy point. They work for really little things, and the color is bold and tends to pop. So if you know, and they come in sets, different sizes. They're not inexpensive. I think $70 is for like the medium set. Maybe a couple $100 for the full set. I don't even have the biggest set. I have a 40 or 50 set or something, but you can slowly buy them individually, adding essential colors. You always want an essential green, brown, black, the white. Brown is good for your earth tones and hair and brooms. 1 or 2 greens, like a bright and a dark, would be good, and then a red. And then just, you know, add as you go. Add more colors into your repertoire, maybe a couple each month or something like that. So you do see here, blend that well. And they're kind of wet, so you can blend them a little. So we have these brown, oh, I missed a leaf, so I better get that one. Brown stems, which means we need a brown pencil. I still have my chocolate out from when we were doing that guy's hair. I'm gonna get my chocolate or dark umber or whatever brown you want to use, and do very sharp and do these stems here. A little hard to see if I've missed anything because my everything's so small, my eyesight isn't very good. It's good for farther away, it's not good for close up. So I'm going to zoom back. Okay, let's go ahead and do the background of this canvas, or the canvas, basically the background of the flowers. For the canvas, we're going to do two simple colors, white and eggshell. Obviously most canvases are white. However, the paper in the coloring book is a stark white, and a canvas would be more like an off-white. With Prismacolor, you know, there weren't a lot of other options that didn't have like a gray tone. So it was kind of difficult. So I'm basically going to do a light amount of eggshell because, you know, I have seen some canvases that have a bit of a cream tint or beige tint to it. And with the eggshell, I'm just going to kind of do in the corners, and I'm doing it so light that I'm barely touching much of the page. And we're going to just kind of frame the around the flowers with the eggshell. More like it's canvas that got a little stained, or maybe it's been weathered in the sun. It's a vintage painting, something like that. Taking this down. And I'm trying to make sure that I do it so soft there's not like going to be any scratches on the paper. Then we're also going to go in with the white. So we have a little bit of that kind of cream staining or shadow or whatever in the corner more. Now let's move to the white. I want to blend into that cream and into the white space itself. So this will be very subtle. It's not going to be overly noticeable, but once we do the frame and kind of some of the wood tones we're doing, or the bronze and gold, it will show a little bit more. Obviously the frame right now is white, so we're not going to be able to see it as well. So I'm just going to, yeah, just really blend in this white here as much as you can. Sure to get down here. It's not much. I mean, just the fact that we have that teeny little tint of cream in the corners, the eggshell, I mean, it kind of helps make it at least obvious that it goes into the white, that there is a natural color there. and not just the coloring book paper. It's hard to describe, but I'm just going to touch in a little bit more of this. All right. It's really all we're going to do, and then we're going to move on to the picture frame now. Okay. So for the picture frame, we are going to do the wood. So we have green ochre, metallic gold, sienna brown, and bronze. So what I want to do, first of all, I want the sienna brown to be, I want you to have it nice and sharp. I don't have a card for that one, of course. So anyway, we're doing the sienna brown here. That's going to be for the stripe that kind of goes around. So let's do that first and make sure you have a nice sharp point. Okay. And do it slow at a point and a hard pressure so we can have a nice solid brown line. Then straight on down or up, whichever. Just keep it at the sharpest point to keep it in that frame border. All right. Good. Excellent. So then what we'll do is we're going to get in some of the other colors. The green ochre is for the corners. So that's going to kind of go up here in these corners with a very light dusting of color. Slow and careful. Not going to go all the way down to that brown border, but just 3/4 maybe. And then start it on its way down that way and this way. Okay, let's get over here. Good. Gonna go a little bit straight across under the picture black line. A little bit darker in this corner, a little bit darker here. Straight up this black line here. All the way down. All right, so then we'll go into the bronze. And we're going to blend in over that green ochre. And then fill in the rest of this corner until where the curve of this brown frame line starts right here. Okay, I had to pause, but we're going to continue doing this bronze. We're blending into the corners all the way and halfway down the side, only half because the other half will do the metallic, the other metallic. Doing halfway down here. Let's fill in all of this corner. And half of this. You can't see the full side of the picture, but you can get half of it. Oops. Okay. So then we'll do the metallic gold. And for that, we're going to blend in the top of the brown bar, the brown border we have here, and into that other bronze we just finished. We'll go down here, and I'm using a lighter touch. Metallics could leave more like scratch marks on the paper, kind of. So I go a little longer and slower when it comes to metallics. And I did pull the colors when I had it last paused next to do Carrie's hair and dress. Then everybody's skin, then all we have is the curtains, which is going to take the longest amount of time. And we'll be doing the dress and Carrie first, because if we do the curtains first, we get any kind of blue pigment crumbs on her and smear, and then we put the pink over it, her dress will be pink, you know, it'll smear. So adding this gold in here. I'm going to go a little firmer now that I have one layer down. And now that it takes more pigment, you're going to see more of that metallic color to it, like a gold picture frame. So now that I have a layer underneath, it's not really going to scratch the paper, so we can use more pressure and blend it on down. All right, there you go. That looks nice. I mean, it looks gold. Let's go over to this side. Do the same thing. And the reason I did that bronze underneath is to make it look a little more rich, more as a brown tinted gold. Because if you do straight up gold on the white paper, you don't see the effect as much. I don't know. It's just something I've noticed over the years with Prismacolors. Let's use a hard pressure and get this gold in here. All right, and so then I'm going to grab my Sienna brown and retouch over this kind of frame we did right here. So I got a few gold flecks on it and a little white on it. I just want to do this with a little firm, pointy layer. Really make that kind of pop a little. Good. Now regarding the canvas, if you really wanted it to look like a bright popping white canvas, like a bright paper white, you can use a paint pen, a white paint pen. That tends to not leave a real smooth finish though. I think you'll see once we get the blue and all the colors in, all this white is gone, that this will stick out. It'll look nicer, like an actual nice vintage painting with a little bit of that overtime coloring on the canvas blended into the white. Yeah, so I think that's all I really need. You can use the metallic to, you'll feel it, you'll see it's real shiny now, but if you see any little white tooth or spots you missed, just touch that up real quick. And you can even grab your your eggshell again and just put a little more of that in this corner. This corner. This corner. This corner. And you can grab the white again. Just in case we got anything on there we want to kind of get rid of or blend in. Okay. All right, so we are done with that picture. I think it looks great. Let's move on to Carrie's dress. So for Carrie's dress, we'll be using pink, blush pink, deco pink, and white. So we have 3 different kinds of pink and white. Want everything nice and sharp before we start. I can't remember if the banner, I know her dress was some light shades of pink. These dark shaded areas here, we're gonna have to do a red acrylic paint pen if we want it to look like blood. Because you can't color red pencil over black. So that'll be a challenge. And it's a tank dress, so this is all skin. Really we have the bodice, which I was gonna do in a few different shades of pink, or maybe the 2 darker pinks, and then do the banner here in the light blush pink with some blue letters, royal blue letters that'll match the blue that's in the backdrop. That's kind of what I came up with. So we'll give that a shot. So we're not going to use the deco pink up front, but we are going to use the pink and the actually no, the lightest pink is, yeah, well, the lightest pink should be the deco pink. So I don't know why did I write these. Oh yeah, I have these little arrows here. I did my samples backwards. I was like, what? So the deco pink, see these little arrows? This is the sample for the blush pink. This is the sample for the deco pink. The deco pink is the lightest, right? So we're only going to be using the blush pink and pink up front. Let's start with the regular pink. And I'm going to start on the skirt part of her dress. So since this is the darkest color, we're going to do, you know, around the waistband or on the sides. We're going to get in some of those stripes, kind of like we did with the hair in the center. So I'm going to go up here at the top of where that belt part of the dress is and just kind of go down, you know, about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to put some in here. I'm going to go upward. I'm going to go along the edge here. I'm just going to do some of where you see some of these stripes of color of black where the illustrator put in the line art. Let's go down the side here. I'm just kind of striping it in, kind of around where you see the illustration lines. Let's get a little bit more right here around the hair of this character and the base. Okay, a little bit more darker. A few spots like around the waistband. Okay, great. So then let's, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I had the wrong card up there. I am not, we were not doing Deco pink this whole time. We were doing pink. So sorry about that. I did not even notice. So pink is the first color. That was an error. I'll see if I can go back and add that fix into the screen. Yeah, so this was the darkest, the regular pink, just to clarify. Sorry about that. So now we're going to go into the blush pink for sure. The blush pink, okay, which is our second darkest. And for that, we're just going to we're going to leave some small white areas on the dress where I'm going to put a little white highlight, but really we're going to start blending over this other pink we did and like bring it down a little from her waistband, kind of coloring into the other color and down so it kind of transitions naturally. Go down to the bottom here, go upward. So you see the white here, mostly between some of the areas that have pencil lines. So I'm going to leave a little white here, a little white here, where we can put in some dress highlights, maybe like where the light might be shining on her on the podium or whatever. Excellent. And then over here, I'm just going to do some steady, solid layers. I'm going to start adding in. Down here around this girl's hair. There's a white area here we're going to do, so I'm going to circle that. I'm going to go around some of these. Okay, let's get our white. Let's add in the white here to where we see these areas where we intentionally didn't put much pink, right? This is a long stripe here, some little areas right here, long area here. Right here, kind of between where the blood will be. Okay. Good. Let's go back to the dark pink. I'm gonna touch up, add some more color around the waist. I'm gonna bring it down a little more. Bring that down. Some right here where there's some illustration lines. Here. All right. Okay, then again, the regular pink. And I'm going to try to do a little sort of solid over here. Not going over really the white spots we're doing, but just kind of around them and into the other pink or anywhere else that you see too much tooth on the paper. We will use the blender here in a minute. I'm just going to touch a little bit here on that white, but not much. Okay, now let's get our blender, Prismacolor blender. I'm going to start by blending it on the white highlights first. Then we'll go around it and get everything around it. I'm not going to go over those black spots if I can help it. All right, let's start on the left side. And if you have any areas of tooth on the paper, this should take care of that if you run over it with lead. I'm sorry, pigment that's on the pencil from right nearby. Good. It's looking natural. Okay, it's looking good. Careful you don't get where the blood's supposed to be, that black ink. Just in case this blender catches any of it. I mean, it's obviously dried, but it went into the printing process. We don't really know if it's gonna dull anything or take out that black. Go around it. Okay, good. Oh, I think that's good. It shows some highlights in her dress, the folds. It's a light enough pink. It'll look better once we get that blood in there with the acrylic marker. I want to do the banner with the Deco pink that's across her bodice first. So I'm going to take this Deco pink and I'm going to just color the whole thing. Try to go around the letters if you can. I might even use a artist pen with a fine point for that. So going around the Deco pink here. Around the letters. This goes all the way up to her hair, it looks like. All right, let's scratch my shoulder edges. Okay. Nice soft pink. The banner goes all the way up here near her hair. So then I'm going to take the darker pink, the pink, just to put in a little bit of that border. I'm going to sharpen this. Okay, so let's put in some pink. The border right here. Good. Need to touch up a little right there. You can actually touch up if you see any white tooth on in here, which I do see right there. Okay. Then also take that same pink and see where these lines are of illustration lines. I'm just gonna put them in here like with the pink pencil. I'll just make it stand out a little better. Okay. So let's use this same pink for her top. And with this one, we're gonna start at the side here. Color kind of around where this blood drip is. Same over here. Then I'm going to do a little bit across, some lines. Go right around this waistband again. Okay, then let's get the other pink, which is the blush pink. And let's fill this in. Looks like there's enough white highlight almost on the banner, so I don't want to do too much on her dress here at the top. Maybe a little bit, but try to get this middle section. You have one white stripe right there, maybe. I'm going to take the white, try to get that white stripe right in the middle. Maybe a little bit of white right here too, right there. And of course we can put in some white on the banner to lighten it up. Okay. I'm going to get my medium pink again and touch up just a little. And cool. I'm going to do my blender, my Prismacolor blender. Do the white first. Not doing much to those black spots, just trying to ignore them. Okay, good. I think we're done with her dress. Looks like I missed a little bit up here on her shoulder. Oh, that's the banner, actually. Oh, no, I missed some of her dress right here. Let's get right under here, under her shoulder blade. With the darker pink, and then go in with that blush. Did not see that part of her dress. Okay, and just use the blender. Once we get that blood in there, it'll be easier to kind of see if there's any white tooth or areas we've missed. Okay, so that's looking good. we're going to do her hair now, and then we'll do the skin and the letters on her body and the blood. Okay, so her hair, we have chocolate, light umber, beige, sienna, and ginger root, in that order of actually what's darker to lighter. So we'll start with the chocolate. And I'm going to, there's some kind of a crown up here. I may need a metallic pen for that. I'm going to try to go around. This is hard because there's supposed to be blood in her hair as well. I'm going to try to use this dark chocolate in between the little bits of that crown and at on her roots, at the top of her head. Not really where the blood is, on the front and right there. Let's get some of her hair here at the top. Okay, not very much, just a little. Then let's do the light umber. I'm just barely going to touch in a few strands because this is more going to look on the dirty blondish side. There's less hair than I thought. I realized more of this is blood than it is hair, which changes my approach a little bit. That was the light umber. Get the beige sienna and get a little bit of this in here. This almost has like a little bit of a pink tone in it. Just getting a little bit of it in. And then the ginger root. This is a lighter color. It should show a little better. And I'm going to blend everything in with this ginger root to all of her hair. Down here. Try to go around wherever we think there's some blood. I'm really trying to tell what's what because we have skin there, so I don't want to do much hair strands over her skin. Her shoulder might be part of her. There's a star piece sticking out right here that I had missed. Any hairs up here? There's one hair on her forehead. I'm going to blend into the roots a little bit up here. We'll use like a silver or gold paint pen for that, which is something you should always have on hand because it's used for many things, including just, for example, this kind of a thing. So then I want to put back in a little bit of the chocolate. It's got her root at the top of here. And if it looks a little dulled, I don't think we really need the blender stick, but I'm going to add some stripes of the chocolate where it got a little dulled by my ginger root. And if it looks patchy, then you can blend it. There we go. I might even touch up again with the putty beige right in the middle here. I can't tell if there's any more hair just yet, but keep these pencils nearby. Sometimes once you do other areas like the skin or whatever, you'll notice strands you didn't see before. Really looking. I'm doing the light umber now. Okay, I think that's good. If we wanted her to look a little more blonde, you know, you can add in a little more ginger root here. Again, it's that kind of dishwatery blonde. Sissy's basic type color hair. Okay, good. So we're done with that. I'm going to go find a red acrylic pen for the blood on her dress and pull her skin tones. And we're also going to need a white gel pen for her teeth.